Can ancient wisdom solve the modern loneliness at the top problem? In this video, we break down one of the most powerful leadership lessons from Bhagavad Gita, which is listed in chapter 4 and verses 34. While the most CEO focus on disrupting the markets, however, the most successful leader focus on disrupting their own egos. Let us explore this aspect further. Think about the profile of a modern successful CEO. We imagine someone decisive, possessing an uncanny predictive power, someone who is always the most knowledgeable person in the room. They represent the peak of their professional hierarchy. But if you are currently at that level or aiming for it, you know the truth. The higher you climb, the colder the wind blows. The loneliest place in the world is the head of the boardroom table. Why? Because you are expected to know everything. But the modern business environment is too chaotic, too volatile, and too fast paced for one mind to comprehend. So, what happens? The CEO starts to specialize. They become masterful at efficiency, optimizing, or strategic pivot. They master the how of the business, yet they often become increasingly lost when it comes to why. They have immense power but often lack profound peace. Today we are going to explore the ultimate paradoxical weapon for a modern leader. It's not an algorithm and it's not a new managed theory. It's a 7,000-year-old framework for human mastery. We are turning to the Bhagavad Gita, a text revered globally, not just the spiritual scripture, but as perhaps the oldest and the most relevant philosophical treatise on leadership. You have made it this far. Drop your location in the comments and let map the global reach together. It's a dialogue set on battlefield, but the real battle is happening within the mind of Arjun, a warrior prince. He is paralyzed by a conflict of duty, ego, and morality. He cannot make decisions. He is, for all intent and purpose, a high-stakes CEO experiencing the ultimate professional crisis. He is not alone. However, his guide is Lord Krishna, who represents the embodiment of supreme, unbiased wisdom. Krishna provides Arjun with structured solution in chapter 4, verse 34. To understand this verse is to understand the perfect framework of executive growth. It's short, direct, and non-negotiable, and it states, just try to learn the truth by approaching the master. Inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. The self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth. This verse is precise and surgical strike on the biggest limitation of the high level leaders, which is the ego. It is a three-pronged system designed to unlock wisdom that data simply cannot provide. It requires the CEO to become to make a shift from boss to disciple. Let's break down how this works in modern boardroom. And this whole means the prostration or humble approach. For Arjun, this meant surrendering his pride as a prince. For a modern CEO, it means a profound voluntary lowering of the ego. We have conditioned ourselves to believe that leaders project authority. We believe that asking for help is a sign of weakness. If you admit you don't know, stock prices might fall or your board might lose confidence. But the Gita teaches us the opposite. Blind certainty is the bottleneck of all innovation. The standard for modern excellence isn't knowing everything. It is having the humility to admit when your current map no longer fits the terrain. When a leader approaches a situation with humility, something magical happens in a company culture. Humility is contagious. If the CEO admits they are a student, it authorizes every other employee to become a student as well. It turns out a fragile defensive culture into agile learning culture. Humility isn't thinking less for yourself, it's thinking of yourself less. It recognizes that truth is greater than your current understanding. And the whole theory also means inquiring with reverence or submissively. This is not about being passive. In fact, it's about being incredibly active, but from a different starting point. Many CEOs approach new information with skepticism. They ask questions to start validity, to change, or to validate their own existing opinion. Submissive curiosity also asks questions born from genuine void of knowledge. It implies a trust in teacher or the source. When you approach a true expert, a self-realized soul in their field, your job is not to compete with them. Your job is to absorb their reality. This requires moving from transactional listening to transformational listening. In business, this means finding mentors who aren't just one step ahead of you on the corporate ladder. It means finding sages in the field you know and knowledge you lack. Find a philosopher to talk about ethics in AI. Find an environmentalist to talk about sustainability. Inquire not to refute but to understand. This pillar shift the leader from being a filter to being a reservoir. Again, this theory also means service. This is perhaps the most difficult pillar for modern minds. Arjun had to massage Bhagwan Krishna's feet and gather a firewood. A modern leader must translate this concept for the corporate world. How do you serve a mentor when you are the person who usually receives services from everyone else? This pillar is almost dissolving the ego through servant leadership. You cannot truly learn from someone if you perceive them as below you on the hierarchical chart. In corporate mentorship, service is sometimes transactional, paying a high coaching fee. But in the Gita sense, it means putting the welfare of the teacher or the source above your own transactional outcome. It means investing your energy to support the context in which wisdom thrives. When you practice service, you are moving away from command and control and towards empower and learn. You serve your company by serving its mission. You serve your employees by removing the roadblock from their success. When you serve, you develop empathy, and empathy is the essential tool of modern mastery. It allows you to understand your customers, your employees, and your competitors at a frequency that data simply cannot match. This three-step process, which is humility, curiosity, and service, sound quite soft. We have been told that leader needs to be hardened, relentless, and transactional. But the Gita provides a secret weapon of resonance. When you approach with humility, you remove your ego's blinders. When you inquire with submissive curiosity, you absorb the truth that others overlook. When you serve you build an alliance of trust and develop empathy that makes your decision, quite solid. The true modern mastery isn't having the authority to tell others what to do. It is having the wisdom to know what is the right thing to do. Before we end, a word about our affiliate partner. Stop settling for a good enough video. If your built-in laptop camera looks like a grainy mess, it is time for an upgrade. Want to instantly level up your video presence? I like to present the Lenovo Performance FHD webcam. This is a game changer for your desktop setup. Technically, this is packed. It has a very sensitive RGB sensor, very crisp photographs it takes. Also comes with two microphones on board, which helps you to record very clear voice in stereophonic format. And these microphones are very sensitive. You can actually move away from the camera up to 2 meters and these microphones will pick up your voice without any problem. This is a very strong piece. This is very sturdy. Comes with tripod ready. Comes with a very long leash, so it gives you a lot of flexibility to place the webcam wherever you want to keep in your studio. and also it has a civil base, which is also very handy. So if you want to basically level up your game and you want to pick up this camera at a discount, please click on the link here or scan the QR code. Now let's get back to our video. So if you are a CEO of today, don't just specialize in optimizing your balance sheet, specialize in optimizing your own character, specializing in staying a student. The sage, whether they are ancient seer or modern masters of their craft, will impart the truth to you, but only if you approach them with the right key. And the Gita lesson in chapter 4 verse 34 has just given you that key. So friends, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below and I will catch you again in the next one.